Hey everybody, I was just talking to my Instagram followers over here again. How are you all doing? It is our weekly call in our lovely Facebook group, all about the action takers, people who are really taking action, deciding, you know what, I'm happy in my life. There's good things happening for me and good things happening to me. But I think if I try a little bit harder, that there's a little bit and a lot more to experience from my life. So welcome aboard to all of you, and welcome to everybody who's watching over on Instagram. 2 weeks ago, I got a marriage proposal at this very, very time, so that I will never forget that. Last week, we had a really good, 2 weeks ago, we talked about the power of pausing. And this week, we're talking about something where I'll be probably using that technique. We're talking about imposter syndrome. First off, let's, the feedback we got in our Facebook group when we said we were going to be talking about imposter syndrome tonight, the feedback from a few different people seemed to be like this outpouring of, oh, thank God, I'm not the only one. Like, it's great that you're talking about this. This is a big deal. This is a big problem. Now, I don't think anybody wants to hear or to spend too much time thinking about a syndrome on a Wednesday in the middle of September. So let's start off, first of all, by just changing the name of it, okay? So, hey, Declan, I'm consciously aware that at times I probably don't speak about my true feelings on a subject. I hold myself back a little bit. I'm afraid to go and do things because I would feel, who am I to do it? You know, that's okay. It's like, hey, you know, sometimes I hit a golf shot and I slice it, and sometimes I hit it straight. Well, that's okay too. And it might sound like I'm making light of something that's really big, but last night I was on a call with some really tenured clients of our academy. They're very far along in their mindset, and I really held a mirror up to the 5 of them, just showing them how, I don't want to say the word weak, but how kind of there's an Irish word, flahulach, you know, how kind of haphazard they were with their language. You know, if we said imposter syndrome is a really big, serious problem, you're giving it a lot more power than it actually really deserves. Imposter syndrome is something that you can change with a decision. It's something that changes a lot of the time for people. You know, you're going from having an identity of being single, and then you meet someone and you fall in love with them, or even before you fall in love with them, you start into a relationship. Your identity changes. You're all of a sudden you're an executive working in a company. Company goes bust. You're unemployed all of a sudden. So our identity and our social status, all these different things, they can be changed very quickly with outside influences. So it can also be changed very, 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 very quickly with inside influences, with making a decision that you're not going to settle for results you don't want anymore, and you're going to get out there and make a change. So the reason that there's a position for people like me in the world is that a lot of people listen to that inner calling. They make a decision that they want to change their lives, but they don't know where to start. They don't know who to get help from. And they don't know even what to aim for and what am I worthy of achieving? So people like me will sit down and talk to people and listen to people and help them to really hear their own BS limiting beliefs coming right out of their own mouth. It's like, yeah, why? Oh my God, why would I say that? Like one of the girls said last night, she goes, one of the biggest things holding me back, and that's my biggest problem. Now, it's rare. I mean, since I was a child, I don't really think anyone like grabbed onto my clothing and held me back while I was trying to run. Maybe when my children were very small, they'd grab onto my legs on the beach or out on the lawn, and they'd be trying to hold me, and I'd be dragging them along the grass, and they'd be laughing in hysterics. But holding me back, like, just think about how big we make these words when we have this identity of, I'm not moving forward. Who am I to move forward? I feel that this is the biggest thing holding me back. It's like, what thing? Oh, you know what I mean. And I'm like, no, I don't know what you mean. What is the biggest thing? What's the worst thing? What's the biggest problem that you're describing in such detail? And when they break it down, they start to realize that their present identity has all of these words and phrases and sayings. I regularly say it in our academy, fallen off the wagon a bit. Like, we're not in the Wild West. We're not going in wagons from the east of America across in a Wild West movie. I don't think I could get out of my house and drive around and find a wagon. Yet I've fallen off the wagon with my discipline. I've fallen off the wagon with my study. We're very quick to make these descriptions and to make these things that help us to give us an excuse to be screwing around and not doing what we're meant to be doing, to not have that discipline, to not have that effectiveness. An imposter syndrome, you know, the reason I'm saying that is, don't tell yourself you've got imposter syndrome. You know, don't speak this mindset illness into existence for not one more day, okay? Our identity changes by outside influences just like that. And we have to accept it. You're all of a sudden, you get a phone call and you're bereft now. Someone has died. That's it. That's changed your identity. You're not, I was from a family where there was 3 brothers and now there's just 2 of us remaining. That was an identity change in one phone call. Okay, it took a little bit longer, obviously, for accepting that and moving on with my life. But there was 2 boys living in Ireland. One is in America now, the only one living in Ireland. So that's an identity shift that happened from an outside influence, just like that. So when you make a decision, and I would love you, if you're going to get anything out of this video, make a decision that this imposter syndrome is not going to be something that you're going to latch on and say, like, look, I have freckles, I have wrinkles. I'm not going to say I have imposter syndrome, but certainly I am held back a little bit by some of the symptoms of it. And it's a mindset blockage. I hate even saying the words now after telling you how much I am strict on our verbiage, how we say things. I'm aware that at times, if it's right around here somewhere, hang on, I've got a manuscript for a book, and I went off to a hotel with an amazing, talented lady called Amanda. For 2 days, I stayed in this hotel near her home, and she came in and we had breakfast and lunch and dinner, and we planned out my book, right? So there's all of the mind maps and all of the descriptions for 20-something chapters, and very little has gone ahead with that in the last few months. And I openly admit in my academy, I'll openly admit publicly here, I think there's a certain amount of fear holding me back. I've described the type of fear at length in the academy. I'm not going to go into it here. But this is what somebody would just paint you with a brush and go, oh yeah, you got imposter syndrome. And then you're going to start taking that into relationships, into parenting, into sports. Who am I to think that I can do that? Well, I want to read something about, this is a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, which is one of the best books on the subject of the self-image and imposter syndrome. And again, after tonight, they're just 2 different words. We're not even going to mix them together, and we're certainly not going to attach them to you anymore. Let's get that up. And I see someone saying West Limerick. Let's throw it up and puck it out of the hurling pitch, football field. I nearly said, being a Kerry man. Okay, so let it go. We've got to do a total Elsa and Anna on it. We got to let it go. We got to let go of that someone might have said once upon a time, oh, I suffered terribly with imposter syndrome. Yeah, is it headache? Is it sinus problem? Is it back pain? No, it's a little bit of a mindset issue. Who are you to go out and do that? Who the hell do you think you are to be a coach? Who's going to want to get help by you? What do you mean you can open your own business? Don't be talking daft. When you have that inner desire, there is everything that you need out there. Every person, every bit of money, every location, every unit, everything that could be possibly there to help you to get your business up and running is just lining up, waiting for you to make the decision to go for it. Someone tells you have imposter syndrome, they're making a big deal out of something that doesn't need to be there. A quick decision changes it all. People would say to you, it's irrational to think that you can change your life and triple your income. I did that in 2015 after I hired my first coach, my first mentor. I studied this program that I now teach. I think it into results. I was just showing someone my book. It's absolutely tattered and torn and all over the place, but I still use it. It's a great book. And that course took me from 35,000 a year to over to 103 and some change in my first year. That doesn't make sense. How can you triple it? Well, I got the hell out of my own way, first of all. I stopped listening to this inner voice going, who do you think you are? They're all going to be talking about you, blah, blah, blah. That was a loud voice, but it was inner. And then they'd be like, how are you, Dec? I could be away daydreaming about, you can't do it, you're not good enough, who the hell do you think you are? And then someone would say, how are you, Dec? Good, yeah, fine, everything's fine. But I wouldn't say, do you know what? I've just been listening to a negative inner voice there for the last 5 minutes, and I've been visualizing scenarios in the future where I'm a big fucking failure. Like, that's what really goes on with people who deal with imposter syndrome. And as I said, you throw all of that out the window the minute a crisis happens. The minute there's an outside problem, we become quite strong, quite fortified, very effective when the chips are down and we need to up our game to fix the problem, to get back into a place of normality. Well, you can change your life. That whole story about tripling my income, building this house, getting the mortgage, all that different stuff, that's seemed like normal enough practices. But as a business person, you need 3 years of books. I said, I'm not going to wait 3 years, and I made it happen anyway. So I've done that with business. I've done it with our companies, turned it into a $1 million company in a year. We're looking to do that we're looking to do about half of that a month now going forward. So how do you jump and jump and jump like that? Well, listen to Maxwell Maltz, who wrote this book back in 1970 and 1960 actually, and listen to just one tiny tidbit that helps you to smash that phrase, imposter syndrome. Do not make it part of your life anymore and really start to change. So listen to this. People would say it's illogical to do that. Well, listen to rational, logical thinking about how it's totally possible to do that. He says, let sleeping dogs lie. The fact that they are buried in your unconscious, in your subconscious, that memories of past failures, unpleasant and painful experiences, it doesn't mean that they must be physically extracted or dug out from your subconscious. It doesn't mean that they need to be exposed or analyzed or examined in order for you to get an effective change in your personality. He says, as we have pointed out in earlier parts of this book, all skill learning, and this is only a new skill, learning how to be 3 times more effective than you were last year. That was my story. And now it's in the dozens of times more effective. If I compare 2015 to 2022, it's dozens more effective. How? Same fella, actually older, definitely a bigger waistline, more children, more gray hair, more responsibilities, more outgoings every month. How does that add up? Well, I've made that change inside, and then the results changed around me. And that's what I teach people how to do. So he says, as we have pointed out earlier, all skill learning is accomplished by trial and error. And making a trial, missing the mark, consciously remembering the degree of error, and then the next time making corrections to go to the next level. Until finally you hit the sweet spot. You get the result you want, a successful attempt is accomplished, and you feel flipping fantastic. You know, that's a small example. Look at all those people that bawl their eyes out crying with that Oscar in their hand, or raising up the Wimbledon trophy, or the Champions League. They're crying, they're full of emotion because of so many near misses. In that calendar year, one person is in the Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne lifting a trophy. One person is lifting a Formula One trophy in Monaco. One person every year out of loads of people who'd love to be there. They cry because of all the misses and all the failures. But they've learned, and now they've done it. And their subconscious mind knows it can be done. We've got team members who are, you know, looking over a few months to try and emulate results that they had nearly a year ago. They haven't matched them, but their subconscious mind knows it's possible. So they don't have to hope and wish and pray. They've done it before. So there's a familiarity to it, and they will do it again. It's just a matter of time. So all of the failures that you've done in any endeavor in the past, you've got to, as he said, let sleeping dogs, you've got to shred them, burn them, write them down, write them down in the sand and let the waves wash them away. Write them down on a piece of paper and full on burn them. Let it go. Let it be gone. Maybe none of your mom or your dad, or your grandparents on your dad's side, your grandparents on your mom's side, maybe nobody in your postcode has ever done what you want to do. And I've seen that with people, later in life starting a whole cosmetics business. Middle of their promising career that their parents would have been so proud of. They leave it to do something totally different, but it's their passion, and they've made hundreds of thousands doing that instead of the, 40 or 50,000 they would have made in their state job. I've seen it time and again. Some people feel like imposters living out the life that, my mom wants to be a teacher, or my dad wants me to be a pharmacist, my somebody else wanted me to be somebody else. They're actually acting like imposters in their own life. So going to change to do what they truly want is not where an imposter syndrome should be coming in and picking at you. So let's go on. That simple trial and error, failing along the way, is always going to be fueled by a desire and a passion. Now, we touched on this a few weeks ago. If you want to hear more about that, I'd suggest going into my TikTok or into my Instagram and scrolling through some old videos about goal setting. Some of my old calls maybe in our Facebook group. If you're in touch with one of my team, Dushan or Yelena or Magdalena, just reach out to them and they'll help you a little bit more about desire and the importance of desire. But when your desire is fueling your drive to succeed, that unmentionable imposter syndrome, that goes away so fast, once and for all. And it goes away in everything, in how you dress, the cars you drive, the income you're going to accept. Your standards go way up when you have a desire you're going after and you've made a decision to change your life in a big, big way. So listen to how easy this is. He says this successful reaction pattern is then remembered or recalled, and then it's imitated again. So your new self, when you shred and destroy this silly imposter syndrome block that's totally invisible and made up of words that you're grabbing onto, like it's not grabbing onto, it's kind of like a codependency. You're almost grabbing onto the excuse as well. I don't know you personally, but I know that that's pretty prevalent in a lot of people. They're almost happy to have this excuse, or I have an awful problem with imposter syndrome. When your desire is big enough for the goal you want to achieve, that honestly, it's just like a thin veil dropping to the floor, just like something on America's Got Talent. This thin veil just drops to the floor and shows the real person behind the screen. The minute you challenge your beliefs that you can't do it, it's gone. I follow a lady on TikTok actually, and she was talking about leaving her career and opening a hair salon, and now within a few months she's going opening a dress hire. You know, so she's scaling up and scaling up. Same girl, same family home, same parents, same everything, but just different standards and different attitudes towards success. Let's carry on. You are the same as who he's writing about in this book. And this book is like 70 or 80 years ago. A successful reaction pattern is remembered by the human being. It's recalled, and then you imitate that again. This is true for anyone learning how to throw horseshoes, throw darts, sing, drive a car, play golf, get along socially with other people, public speaking, or any other type of skill. It is also true of a mechanical type rat learning to run its way around a maze. Thus, all servo mechanisms, by their own nature, contain the use of memories of past errors, failures, painful and negative experiences. The negative experiences should never inhibit you, but they should contribute to your learning process. As long as they're used as long as it's used properly, negative feedback can also help you to deviate away towards a positive goal that you desire. So I think to summarize, hopefully what you've learned, and it's only been 20 minutes, I normally go a good bit longer, but this can be a really overwhelming subject. My goal tonight was to hear people or to respond to what I've seen in the feedback that we were going to be talking about imposter syndrome. How many people were like, "Oh my God, yeah, me too." Let's just get that done tonight. There's about 20 of you on Facebook. There's another dozen of you on Instagram. If all 30 of you could just do me that one favor, and no matter what it is that you want to do, you don't need to be more beautiful, more thin, more expensive, more wealthy. You don't need more time. I promise you that. I talked to a girl last night. We had a chuckle about it. She goes, "I need to make more time." And I was like, "God, you're Michelle. You're God. You can make time." And she was like, "Oh, flip off, Declan." But I was teasing her because she says, "I have to make time." You don't make time. You manage your activities. You don't need to manage time because you can't. It's like trying to manage the ocean washing up and down on the shoreline below my house here. Can't be done. So it's so overwhelming to try and help you on one call. I don't find it overwhelming, but it will overwhelm this call if I start telling you everything that you need to do. But let's take it in 3 steps. Number 1, you really need to think about what is that one thing that you want to do, but you feel and you hear these noises. Who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think could buy clothes off you online? Who the hell do you think you are to travel the world, leave your job and travel? Cop onto yourself. Who the hell do you think you are to upgrade the house that you're in to get another one? Who the hell do you think you are to double your income? Who the hell do you think you are? That, honest to God, is inside all of us. It's there's a great author called Michael Singer. He wrote a book called The Untethered Soul, and he talks about that voice inside, and he calls it your inner roommate. And he goes, "When has it never had a problem? The minute this problem is resolved, there'll be another." I remember this week thinking about a problem that I want resolved by Friday, but it'll probably be maybe Wednesday next week. I remember laughing to myself, just thinking, "Yep." And I know when that's done, something else will come to the surface as the biggest problem. They're all just things that need to be dealt with on a daily basis. So my promise to you is, when you get a desire for a new result in your life, I promise you'll feel resistance. And I also promise you that if you stop claiming that resistance as something wrong with you, instead of understanding that it is something 100% universal in every single person, the ones that seem to just go, I don't care if she said something about me in town. I couldn't give a damn. I'm not going to let that ruin my night. Where you would be like anxious and unable to eat your dinner because you heard someone said something. The reason that person's got a thick skin and a thicker gut is probably because of one day making a decision never to be upset by somebody else ever again. They usually do. They usually have had difficulties along the way. Sorry, Instagram got a bit disturbed. They usually have had some difficulties along the way that has helped them to form this new, tougher, stronger person. Okay, so look, I'm going to bring this call in for a close. Somebody's persistently trying to ring me, and I didn't put my phone on silent over here, so on snooze mode. So my Instagram's gone a bit wonky. But anyway, I hope I've given you good food for thought. Let's never ever again claim that you have imposter syndrome. Never again. You just have no memories that you've done the thing that you're dreaming about. You can make those memories by getting out and doing it and doing it and doing it. Okay. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Me or my team will get back to you. If somebody just ordered Psycho-Cybernetics on Audible, top class, great idea. I would buy the book then and even read along with it because there's exercise to be done as well. Hello, Beatrice. Hello, Margaret McAleese. Who's from West Limerick and where are you from in West Limerick? I used to live in Knockadary one time, and my wife's a Newcastle West woman, I'll have you know. So my mom's a Toomevara woman, and I used to shout for tip all the time. If there's any of my cousins on here, please forgive me, but I kind of have a little bit, not just because they're winning every year, but a little bit of a sweet spot for Limerick now after living there for a few years. I got right into it. They were pining for their first All-Ireland after such a long time, and I was there when they won it. It was great celebrations. Everybody on Instagram, comment any questions you might have about imposter syndrome. I hope this resonated with you tonight. I will be back again next Wednesday on Instagram Live, over here on Facebook as well, talking about another subject that we teach. Rathcool, on the Dubs. We have Sam Maguire back where it belongs, just, outside Newcastle West, says that person. All right, cool. Okay, everybody, before the Dubliner gets back at me, I'm going to quickly leave the chat, leave this live broadcast. I hope you've enjoyed a bit of a discussion. We're a company that deals with no BS. It's no BS attitude to personal development. It's not something that needs to be really overcomplicated and tied up in loads of highfalutin words. It's really easy, in fact, to change your life and to really maximize your effectiveness. Go after what you really want. Stop entertaining, energy draining friendships and relationships and to-dos and must-haves and all that. You become a very focused, very driven, patient and kind person when you allow us to serve you, to go after what you want. It's never about gluttony or greed or I'll show them. I really help someone to, like today now I received 2 goals and I've gone back to both clients because I'm not happy with their goal because it doesn't feel like it's really coming from their soul, that it's really something they want. And I really want them to take another look at it. And I think when they come back with their new goals, I'm also going to ask them to look at it on another level. What does this do for you and others? What does this goal really do for you? Yeah, we all want to say money and holidays and all that, but why? Tell me more about the holiday. What's that going to do for your self-esteem and self-confidence? I recently, let me show you one of my old vision boards very quickly. I recently got to fulfill one of my old vision boards, which was business class. So I took all my children, all 75. Did I not tell you about that? No, I took my wife and our 3 children to California, but we flew business class. And I had visualized that for years, putting the covers around them as they're lying out flat. It was a personal goal I wanted to achieve. I did it. And now it's ticked off the box. And now my subconscious mind is that this is possible. Do it with other things. There's other things I can do. But that was an impossibility for a very broke and scared and worried and doubtful 35-year-old me. I'm 42 now on Monday. So less than 7 years ago, just shy of 7 years ago, I really felt I was letting her down and letting my children down and my parents and everything. So I know what it takes. I know what imposter syndrome feels like. I told you I still deal with it from time to time when it comes to publishing my book. It's like, who are you to write a book? Who are you to tell your story? Professional footballers that are retired tell their story. Politicians that have made an impact in the world tell their story. Who's going to read your story? So I promise you, I still hear it. I still deal with it, regardless of the proof that I have. I wake up in my dream house every day. I have proof that this works every day, and I still deal with it. So give yourself a break. Stop thinking there's something wrong with you. Understand that it's a simple resistance trying to keep you in this safety zone. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. And I'd love to hear some feedback. Hey, Janine, how are you doing? Good to see you here. Anybody needs anything, just comment in the chat and get in touch with whoever in my company you've been talking with, and they'll help you with this as well. Goodbye, Instagram. Mwah. Goodbye, Facebook. Mwah. Goodbye, YouTube. And we'll see you later, alligators.